Our first variant is going to be Arden Mine in Nevada. For how I want our mine to be structured. We're in the US. We're in the
Hello.
US.
Testing. Testing.
We're
Testing.
in the
Hello.
US.
Testing. Testing. There we go. Okay. Okay, dude, you gotta see this. Look at this. I turned Minecraft into a horror extraction game. I'll just be listening to it while I play. I'm not going to, yeah, you know.
Quincy Mine is an abandoned copper mine, built in the late 19th century and closed in the early 1900s, which is around the same era that I want our mod to be based in. It's located in Michigan's Copper Belt, which is actually where 3 of my great-grandparents worked, and gave me a lot of inspiration for how I want our mine to be structured. Starting from the top, each level of the mine is organized about 80 feet apart, which is perfect for us, so we can make each drift function as its own level, and then the deeper you go, the harder it gets, like a normal extraction shooter. And we'll have each level start with a main haulageway like this one, and then deeper inside we'll use different cave-in areas and other carved-out rooms as our room variants. And then our deepest levels will be completely flooded by water, and we'll build out some system with stagnant water. I don't know, I haven't thought about that yet. There we go, class. Trip report over.
Holy crap,
that was not for you, that's for the IRS. I'm writing all this off of my taxes. So now we gotta start making blocks for the rooms we'll be generating. Our first variant is gonna be Arden Mine in Nevada. I picked out a couple cool variants for this. So we're gonna build these cool arches for the haulageways. Alright, let's see what this looks like in game. Okay, so this is walking into it. Okay, this is kind of spot on to what I was looking for. This will be one of the main haulageways that branches out from the elevator. Alright, I'm going to work on the next variant for this level. Alright, we got a pretty good block collection. With the shaders, it just looks so cool. And then in the back here, we have our third variant, which is an abandoned silver mine from Ontario, which has this real haunted look that I'm trying to add. But these will be the 3 main variants for the first levels. But a big problem we have is that the world is far too small. See, the average mine shaft is like, give or take, 22 blocks tall, right? I need mine to be thousands of blocks tall. But the average working space from bedrock to surface is only 130 blocks. And the maximum build height in a normal world is like 380 blocks. I need more space. I can't cook here. To accomplish this, I'm just going to use a custom biome inside of a custom dimension inside of a custom data package, so we can stretch the world build limit up to thousands of blocks. Is there probably an easier way of just doing this inside of the mod?
No.
Probably.
Oh.
Am I willing to learn how?
Okay.
No. Jim's mine. Make sure we use the white monster for our
Dang
pack
it.
image.
No
Perfect.
place
That's what
for
they
the
call me.
weak
Straight
or
through.
foolhardy.
Okay, there we go. We have our basic biome, some orange skies, which we're not really gonna see. There's no caves. It's kind of an open palette for us to craft whatever we want. Looks pretty good. Next, we gotta assemble all of these variants that we have into rooms that we can spawn.
Just not
Okay,
good
so
enough.
here's our assembled level 1 rooms. So we got 3 different main variants with 5 different shafts for 2 of them, and then we got 4 of these little end bits for 2 of them as well, and then for the main hallway, end bits for those. And then of course,
I don't
we
see
have the main
any,
elevator. We can make some more rooms
trip
later. I think
lines.
this is good enough to start. For the actual procedural generation code, this is what we're gonna do. This is actually one of my favorite parts of mod making. The last time I got to do this like 2 years ago was when we trapped George and I found Mel Gibson in the back rooms. We took me like a week to build it. We only used it for like 20
Backrooms,
seconds.
yeah.
But the procedure is going to do 3 things, guys. We call this, I'm calling this the George Gibson model of procedural generation. There's 3 main parts. Choosing the chords, picking the
Oh, man,
room,
I
and then
wish.
spawning them.
I
When
wish
you choose chords,
I
you
was
have to
this
calculate
smart.
the spawn position based off the X and Y value offsets of the room and the direction that you're going in or changing into. It's kind of tough because our
I remember
rooms are
2.5
square,
Men.
they
That was a
have
funny
within
sitcom
fifth room, I'm putting
before
together all the
Charlie
variables,
quit.
like I'm saying, if we're going in a straight line, there's a 40% chance that the same shaft continues going forward. If not, then there's a 35% chance of an end bit spawning and we change direction. Then I also added in a requirement of 25 rooms before switching variants, and then 100 rooms before moving down to a lower level. And then finally, we restrict spawning to just 6 rooms before doubling back and spawning more branches from the new pivot points. And then that way it gives it the cool tree-like look that we need. Now when I right-click with Whoa Mine Shaft Be Upon Thee, that's the name for my spawning tool. It takes a couple minutes, and then boom, we get this. Isn't she pretty? Isn't she perfect? There's another fundamental problem. this.
Whoa.
Isn't she pretty? Isn't she perfect? There's another fundamental problem with this, as you can probably tell. It goes back and rewrites over itself, because it doesn't know where a room is already spawned. So my idea for getting around this is using custom gravel and stone blocks that have an NBT value called place. So then when we go to place a new room, first we check the coordinates to see if a block with that NBT value exists. It's easy. It was in fact not easy. I ended up spending like 17 days on this concept, and in the end, it completely broke and didn't work. And in a momentary loss of composure, I just realized that we could probably just make a few dozen maps and use those for the first release of the model. So this is what I came up with. Look at this, folks. This is a proper mine. It's a bit of a maze, obviously, but we have our main haulage ways. Biblically
That's a funny leap.
The George Gibson model will be back. I did put together this neat spawning system, so it actually makes building the maps pretty easy. But you may say, what are these weird blocks here? Well, these are the weak blocks, which is the next thing that we have to do. Considering that my lore is that this was an abandoned copper mine used by a demonic group as a meeting place after its closure during the Great Depression, I've given us 3 classes.
Wait.
First, we've got these little copper closure during the Great Depression. I've given us 3 classes of loot. First, we've got these little copper blocks. Biblically accurate. The George Gibson model will be back. I did put together this neat spawning system, so it actually makes building the maps pretty easy. But you may say, what are these weird blocks here? Well, these are the loot blocks, which is the next thing that we have to work on. Considering that my lore is that this was an abandoned copper mine used by a demonic group as a meeting place after its closure during the Great Depression, I've given us 3 used by a demonic group as a meeting place after its closure during that this was an abandoned copper mine. Wait, the next thing that we have to work on. Considering that my lore is that this was an abandoned copper mine.
Oh, dear. Oh. Okay. Oh no, War Thunder ad, I need to skip that.
Building these big copper blocks. This is an air pressure drill that was used to mine copper in the early 1900s. Very important piece of the game lore here. And now this is what we have. Okay, you right-click the drill to aim it, click it on a block, and you get an unbelievably loud drilling effect, just like real life. It blows your ears out. The one thing Mojang never took seriously before this was the hearing loss. Look, it gives them a little hole. Okay, you have to drill 3 blocks, and right-click on them with the dynamite, and then you stand back. Boom. There you go, guys. And then you get your loot. And then when the copper chunks fall on top of the they turn into stacked bits. And there you go, kids. You can't spell mining without children. I'm also going to add in a less profitable and slow copper, just in case you lose your pneumatic drill. So you can just pull down and try to mine the blocks like a traditional block. And it gives off these copper chunks that are like less profitable than others. But it breaks after a while. Now for the cart, because we need a way to move all of our loot around. Historically, this actually the cart. This is like Bridgerton for people with autism. Okay, we have to give it a ton of item slots so that it's basically better than just putting everything in your inventory. 113 item slots? Yeah, that's probably good enough. Okay guys, this is what I have. Look at this. Look at how pretty it is. The more ores you put in the cart, the more it fills up on the outside. So it changes over time. You can fill it up all the way. Isn't that sick, guys? And then you can left click on it to move it around. And then right click to open it up. That is pretty sick. And it's completely latched onto you. This is kind of exactly how the cart works in Repo. I kind of lifted this word for word, bar for bar. Okay, we need the elevator to work good too. That's going to be what brings everyone from level to level. I do predict that the elevator will be the largest, how you say it in English, problem child of all this mod, because it's going to be used by so many people constantly. I am going to make this a ore elevator instead of a traditional slant elevator because I think it looks a lot more haunted and it's way easier. I don't know how to do a slanted cart. That would suck. That would be really hard. This is going to be the first thing that everyone sees, so we got to make sure it has a good rusted texture. And then when you go to sit into the cart, I'm going to use these invisible entities that are just going to pin to their position, and it's just going to assign you a seat. And so this is what we have. We right click to open up the elevator, and then you get a cool animation, and then you get sat down. And then you press P to go down and start the whole game. Were there seats in actual mine elevators back in the day? No, they didn't give those kids anything. But I don't know a better way to do this. Guys, my arms are shackled. If I could make your living situation worse, I would have done so. Also, good point to note, I scrapped the whole data pack that had the like 2,000 block deep world because it lagged incredibly horribly whenever you set your render distance to something normal. Instead, I'm using these like 300 block deep dimensions, and then I'm gonna make one for each level. And then that'll give us more control over each dimension.
Oh wow, Adventure Time is being streamed on YouTube right now.
Adventure Time. To me, this is one of the best cartoon shows to ever air on Cartoon Network. Not because it was funny. Adventure Time. To me, this is one of the
Omar Elias. I agree.
Best cartoon shows to ever air on Cartoon Network. Not because it was funny, although it did have some corkers, but because of the amount of development all the characters got. I mean, I'd argue some of the side characters eventually overshadowed some of the main ones just because of how much growth they were given. But finally, after discussing almost every character in the show, it's time to recap and analyze the main character. A character who began the show as nothing more than an immature boy. A character who, at first, saw the world through an extremely naive lens. A character who endured so much that we were able to witness his victories, his failures, and his growth into someone almost unrecognizable from who he was in his very first appearance. This is the story of Finn the Human, the freedom of the finite. But before we continue, I want to briefly talk about our sponsor for today's video, ExpressVPN. Much like Finn and Jake hiding from Marceline in her closet, sometimes you just want to stay out of sight of the show and every other show for this. That means it is on Netflix, just available in a different country. ExpressVPN allows you to check my partnership with the video. Season 1 of Adventure Time. When the show was still trying to find its footing, and Finn was a 12-year-old boy saying,
I mean, not like sexy hot.
Like I said, he started as someone extremely naive, but extremely courageous, who slayed anything evil on adventures with his magic dog, later confirmed to be his adoptive brother. This included saving various princesses from the Ice King, and helping those who couldn't help themselves. But of course, like any classic adventure story, Finn's journey also had a large romance element. See, because Finn saved Princess Bubblegum from Ice King so much, she would often thank him by giving him a kiss, which naturally led the 12-year-old to start developing feelings for her. Now, I've already talked at length about PB's, let's just say, somewhat unhealthy way of handling Finn's feelings, which ended up leading to some of the weirdest comments and misrepresentations of what I actually said. So I'm gonna try my best to be as impartial as I can once I get to that specific plotline. For now, let's discuss the episode The Enchiridion. Princess Bubblegum tells Finn of this book called The Enchiridion, a book that has everything you need to know about becoming a true hero. To get it, Finn must go through a bunch of trials and tribulations at a place called Mount Cragdor. The issue is that the mountain quickly gets in Finn's head, especially after these gnomes randomly start destroying these old ladies in front of him. Jake, however, being his big brother, tells him that he's the most righteous person he's ever met, a truly rare quality found in others. Anyways, Jake gets swallowed, then puked up, Finn pulls a and he finally gets the Enchiridion. This book actually goes a little by the Anyways, Jake gets swallowed, then puked up, Finn pulls a and he finally gets the Enchiridion. This book actually goes a little by the wayside for a bit, that is, until it doesn't, in a big way. Let's not talk about memories of Boom Boom Mountain. This episode follows Finn trying to cheer up a crying mountain after he's forced to watch a bunch of these guys roughhouse. A simple solution, you think. The issue is that this escalates dramatically, and Finn ends up trying to help multiple people whose wants directly contradict one another. Time and time again, Finn tries his best, but is quickly overwhelmed. That's when Jake asks him,
"Man, what do you want?"
And for the first time, we are given a glimpse into Finn's backstory. We see him as a baby lying in the forest where people would pass by and tell him not to look at him. From that day forward, Finn vowed to help anyone who needed it, so that they couldn't feel what he felt. However, a few moments after that, Jake's parents, Joshua and Margaret, found him and adopted him. It's that memory that causes Finn to try even harder, concocting a perfect plan that satisfies everyone in that episode. A very small scene, but it established why he is the way he is. That's kind of his Uncle Ben moment, and it shows the kind of perseverance he has. Also, as a quick aside, I will be skipping over certain episodes. You will see this a lot. One, it's either because I have a much more in-depth solo video analyzing it, and two, some episodes have Finn as a side character, and trying to develop every single relationship he has with every character would just take too long. So I will be touching on the relationships of episodes that are essential for his story. Leave a comment down below if I missed anything, and leave a like and subscribe right now. The majority of you who watch my videos are not subscribed. I make video essays on a bunch of games, shows, and movies, and some of my favorite content to do is analyze characters. So subscribe not to miss out. We now arrive at what is life. The only thing I'll briefly mention here is the introduction of Nectar, a microwave brought to life with the mix of the Ice King magic and one of Finn's pranks on Jake. From that point on, Nectar essentially becomes like a son to Finn. I'll get back to the irony of this later. Just after this, we have Ocean of Fear. This is the first time we see Finn actually fear something, and just as the title suggests, it's the ocean. His fear manifests in the form of this annoying-ass cloud guy known as the Fear Feaster. Oh, and it comes out of his belly button for some reason. I always thought this was supposed to be referencing when you get nervous cramps before something stressful. This belly button manifests in the form of this annoying... His fear manifests in the form of this annoying-ass cloud guy known as the Fear Feaster. Oh, and it comes out of his belly button for some reason. I always thought this was supposed to be referencing when you get nervous cramps before something stressful. This episode just decided to make that very literal. The Fear Feaster gets into his head big time, stating that because he's afraid of the ocean, he may never become a true hero. Jake attempts to help him through it, but fails time and time again. That is, until Jake accidentally sinks to the bottom, causing Finn to knock himself out and land right next to him. In a way, he does sort of conquer his fear.
You're at the bottom of the ocean!
But future episodes suggest that it's still there, as the final words of the episode narrated by Clancy Brown state,
"And so fear is forced deep within the soul of a hero. Come, at least for now."
We now arrive at the season 1 finale, his hero. This episode is important for one simple reason. It's the introduction to the legendary hero of Billy. Billy is a hero that Finn and Jake worship, and in this episode they come across him and his cave one day. Oh sorry, his cracks. Unfortunately, the way Billy's depicted here is not the same hero they once worshipped. He's now retired, and a bit cranky. He tells them that being a hero is pointless because every time he'd save someone, they'd get kidnapped again straight away. It's a circular pattern with no end. So he tells the pair that they don't have to stop helping people, but they can resort to helping them non-violently, like being active in their community. Now naturally, because the two are such dumbasses, they try to help people by giving them ways to defend themselves, in the most grotesque ways imaginable. Obviously, this actually starts harming people instead of helping, until finally, Finn sees this ogre terrorizing someone. This is the same ogre he actually beat up at the beginning of the episode. Finn finds that he cannot control himself and decides to tear his ass a new one, but is disappointed that he had to resort to violence. The old lady tells him, however, that that isn't a bad thing, and evildoers deserve retribution. Hearing her words, Finn and Jake go back to Billy to tell him what happened, but he says,
"You know what's probably happening to that old lady right now? She's probably dead."
That's when the two show him that she's right here. Finn explains that the reason she's even alive here and able to feel as elated as she does is because he saved her with violence, that he was born to kick some ass. Billy then feels something in his chest, stating,
It's as if your words are filling a void in my very being.
After regenerating and supposedly finding a new appreciation for heroism, Billy bows to Finn and Jake, claiming that they are his heroes. So even in season 1, we can see that Finn has hints of a tragic backstory, something the show explores more later. Yet because of that, he has an optimistic attitude and a willingness to do whatever it takes to help others. His seemingly simple mindset in standing up for the little guy was somehow powerful enough to pull even a legendary fallen hero out of despair and give him purpose again. It's exactly the kind of foundation you'd expect for a classic hero. But as we'll see, Finn's journey takes him in unexpected directions. Season 2 has a bunch of shenanigans Finn and Jake get up to.
So ugly, I wanna throw up.
But one of the more important episodes is Susan Strong. Phoebe briefly asks Finn about his human relatives, but he responds that he's never met another human before. And if he thinks about it too long,
I get all soul-searching and weird.
Tea is good.
Phoebe then gets really flustered and tries to change the conversation ASAP. This is one of the first times the show acknowledges Finn being the only human, and judging by Phoebe's reaction, it's heavily implied that humans are pretty much extinct. But then, a few moments later, Finn and Jake come across this hatch, and they find this abandoned cave. But if we look closely at the background, we can see drowned buildings and destroyed vehicles. It seems like this was once a human city, especially after they come across this person.
Your face! You're just like me!
But this tribe of humans is extremely sneaky and doesn't seem to speak any language.
What are these guys doing down here in this crummy hole?
Well, we wouldn't get a proper answer to this question until like 5 or 6 seasons later, but don't worry, we'll get there. Finn says that it's his duty as a human to save them and bring them out of this cave. The woman says that her name is
Son.
And so the character of Susan Strong was born.
Come on.
I always love that line delivery. Unfortunately, everything freaks her out on the surface, including grass, so they begin to show Susan the land of root in smaller doses. As time goes on, Susan quickly learns and speaks English, albeit it's a bit broken. Later, Finn sings a song to her about how happy he is to finally find another human. Beneath the surface, though, the song hints at something deeper, that he has always felt like an outsider in a world where magic, sentient bubblegum, and all kinds of strange creatures are the norm. On top of that, he was raised by a family of talking dogs. In that moment, there's a hint of him that feels like he belongs. Jake then throws her a marshmallow, and after eating it, he gets high on candy. This leads Finn to take her to the Candy Kingdom, the worst possible thing he can do. Upon learning that everything is candy, she tells Finn that she's gonna go bring the rest of the humans to come and devour the entire kingdom. After she runs off, Finn and Jake tell PB about a plan to scare them off by using shadows. But because of how quickly she's been adapting to everything they taught her, she sees through the trick almost immediately. Finn tries to reason with her one more time before a bunch of these flaming marshmallow kids charge him, and we get a heartbreaking reveal. After getting burned, these humans take off their hats only for Finn to see that they have gills. They run off, and he briefly asks Susan what she is, since she didn't take off her hat. However, she runs off too. He then asks Jake whether he thinks she was a human or just another wild animal, only for Jake to give us one of the truest lines ever spoken.
We're all wild animals, brother.
What begins as an uplifting episode where Finn is excited to learn more about what it means to be human or to form a real connection with someone ultimately turns into a heartbreaking and deeply traumatic experience for him. The character of Susan Strong is extremely important to Finn's backstory. As we'll see, the entire reason she even got to EU in the first place was because of him, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The payoffs we get later on in the series really show the quality of these writers and staying true to some of the wacky moments shown in the earlier seasons. Jake's last line could also be a subtle way of telling Finn that just because he's human doesn't mean he doesn't belong. They're all wild animals after all. Now I'll briefly touch on the real PB, because this is a good point to bring up PB's and Finn's dynamic. As I said earlier, PB is fully aware of Finn's feelings for him. In Ricardio the Heart Guy, she clearly notices that Finn is jealous when Ricardio starts flirting with her.
Kiss me, Finn. I mean, kiss me, Finn. Am I doing the right thing?
You could see this moment as playful, sure, but later on, her not really taking Finn's feelings seriously plays a role in the emotional struggles he goes through in Season 3. In the DMU, after Finn saves everyone, PB kisses him on the cheek. Again, some people see this as harmless or just a way of saying thank you, but when you know someone has romantic feelings for you, especially someone as young as Finn, actions like that are going to send mixed signals. Finn is only 12, and he doesn't yet have the emotional maturity to fully understand the difference between romantic affection and appreciation. Criticizing PB for this doesn't mean she's a bad character. If anything, it adds depth to her. Since she was literally created from the mother realm, she doesn't always understand human emotions or social boundaries in the same way others do. That lack of emotional awareness is an important part of her character. So please listen to my reasoning before rushing to the comments calling me an incel. Some of those comments in my PB character analysis exposes some of the most terminally online weirdos I've ever seen. That being said, we'll come back to Finn and PB's relationship as it continues to develop. For now, we arrive at the first two-parter of the show, Mortal Folly and Mortal Recoil.
Okay, so
One small moment I want to highlight is this imagined scenario Finn has. Just take note of the way he looks.
Dude, I know he gets a robot arm later on, but holy crap, that is badass. Gears are so cool.
Robotic right arm and beefed out. PB then tells the pair of this creature named the Lich, the most evil presence in Ood. She says that a long time ago, Billy managed to defeat him and trap him in this candy tree. Unfortunately, bringing Finn and Jake up there turns out to be a huge mistake. See, she gives them these protective charms to stop the Lich from taking control of their mind. But then, a snail crawls out of Finn's bag, which allows the Lich to take control of it and makes the snail break him free from prison. After he escapes, PB gives Finn the gauntlet of Billy to take the Lich down, as well as this pink sweater. She claims that the Lich's lair will be cold and that she doesn't want him to get sick. The three hug before the pair head out to finish the job. Ice King gets in the way briefly because he's a horny bastard, but upon making it to the well, Finn charges at the Lich with Billy's gauntlet and... During the commotion, Finn's charm breaks, which allows the Lich to take control of him. He commands Finn to walk into the well, asking him,
Aren't you cold?
But just as he's about to fall in, he yells,
No, I'm not! I've got a sweater on!
The Lich tries to burn him, but miraculously it has no effect. Well, that's because he has the power of love on his side. Wait, sorry, what did he call it?
Power of liking someone a lot.
Finn breaks out of his trance and charges at the Lich, pulling this wild move like what the hell is this? And just like that, the Lich is vanquished. This moment is a testament to Finn's discipline and heroism. As a 13-year-old, he's able to resist Evil Incarnate's mind control and take him out with a fucking sweater. A fucking sweater. But just then, Ice King drops PB into the Lich as well, and she fucking dies. It's sort of fine though, as she's revived in the next episode, Mortal Recoil. But she starts spouting off nonsense like,
The Ice Wizard is a weak fool.
As she recovers, Finn tells her that the sweater she gave him is one of the reasons the Lich wasn't able to take control of him. Now, of course, this leads to nothing because holy shit. Totally would though. Ice King then reveals to the two that back at the well, he saw something go out of the Lich and into Bubblegum, meaning that the Lich is possessing her. After teaming up with him, the pair take her out and PB dies again. Upon reviving her once more, she's no longer 18, but now 13. Ice King F's off because he's not a total freak, and Finn and PB hug, living happily ever after, right? Well, the final few scenes show that same snail that initially woke the Lich out, waving at us in silence. That reminds me, if you want to see a full breakdown of the Lich's character, then go check out my video right here. Season 3 brings us this scene.
Oh, tough tootin' baby, I've been touching your bones.
Possibly the most iconic scene for Finn, maybe the entire show. We now arrive at the episode Too Young, that further develops PB and Finn's relationship. Now that they're the same age, they're in a kind of situationship. Nothing official, but it's quite clear that PB likes Finn too. Unfortunately, their shenanigans come to a stop when Lemongrab shows up, stating that he'll be in charge of the Candy Kingdom until PB turns 18 again. After all, she created him, and so he's the next heir. This causes Finn and PB to try to force him out by pranking him non-stop. But this causes them to get imprisoned in the dungeon. With all their options running out, PB tells Finn that she can turn herself back into 18. The reason she waited so long was that she hates having to be so old and that she never gets to act like a kid.
But it's okay, really. My people need me, and that comes first.
Yeah.
Of course, Finn isn't exactly happy to hear that. So they perform this ritual, and the final thing that needs to be done is a love hug. Finn and her hold hands, only for her to say,
First, I just want to say how much fun I've had hanging out with you.
Me too.
And I wish I could stay like this with you, but
I know, Princess.
and so the two hug and kiss before PB turns back into 18. She tells Lemongrab to piss off, leaving Finn in a very confused state of emotions. He hesitantly asks her if she wants to hug some more, but she shuts him down bluntly, stating,
what? Finn, you silly? That was like 5 years ago. You really gotta move on.
Again, PB's dismissive attitude here makes her worthy of criticism as a person, even though it is very in character. I always found this so insensitive of her. I mean, a few minutes ago, you pretty much told Finn that if you could have it any other way, you'd want to be with him. For any 13-year-old to hear that, to then have that same person shut you down, is gonna fuck up anyone's mental state. And this feeling of heartbreak continues throughout the season. In the episode What Was Missing, you see that Finn secretly keeps a patch of Bubblegum's hair to, I don't know, smell it. He probably does this to relive some of the memories he had with her during their time together when she was 13.
Here's that lock of Bubblegum's hair you love so much.
Oh, you.
Moving on is very difficult regardless, and in the special case with Finn and PB, it is a million times harder. I'll now briefly discuss the creeps. I have a whole video dedicated to this episode and the vault you should check out right here, so I'll just speedrun a bit of the story arc. After a murder prank party turns into a murder massacre carried out by this ghost, Finn is greeted by this unsettling apparition. At first, we all think this is the ghost killing everyone, but it turns out that it was Jake pranking Finn the whole time. When Finn brings up the green ghost he saw, however, Jake has no idea what he's talking about, leaving Finn to reflect back on what he saw.
That one's going in the vault.
This just means he's gonna actively repress that memory because it's something that he finds too scary. And two, this thing might be he's gonna actively repress that, leaving Finn to reflect back on what he saw.
That one's going in the vault.
This just means he's gonna actively repress that memory because it's something that he finds too scary. And two, this thing might be linked to something deep in his subconscious. I will touch back on this later. In Buteopia, Susan Strong returns, asking for Finn and Jake's help in reclaiming an underground city called Buteopia, a place where she and what we thought were humans now lived. Jake at first is extremely hesitant, citing that she did try to eat the candy people before, but Finn still wants to help her regardless. One of the most important parts of the episode is Jake constantly telling Finn that the humans are fish people, including Susan. After having defeated these dark creatures and restoring the light of Buteopia, Susan tells Finn to stay, but he says he can't because he's just not like them. But then she takes Finn's hand and guides it behind her hat. He pauses, a look of realization crossing his face, and softly says her name again in recognition before leaving with Jake, giving her one last wave goodbye. The ending implies that Susan is not a fish person like the others, but in fact a true human just like Finn. It's one of the main reasons why she goes to him for help and why she wants him to stay. In a way, one of Finn's main fears of being the last remaining human is momentarily relieved, as he now knows there's one more in the land of Ooh. This actually connects to the two-parter Holly Jolly Secrets. The one thing that is important to Finn here is that upon finding out that Ice King is actually a human who was cursed to become this deranged ice wizard, he stops treating him so harshly, even calling him Simon instead of the Ice King from here on out. So now, to Finn's knowledge, there are technically two other humans in Ooh alongside himself. This might add a bit
when he
wizard. He stops treating. This actually connects to the two-parter entirely believed, as he now knows there's important to Finn here is that upon finding out that Ice King is a two-parter Holly Jolly Secrets. The one thing that is important to Finn here is that upon finding out that Ice King is actually a human who was cursed to become this deranged ice wizard, he stops treating him so harshly, even calling him Simon instead of the Ice King from here on out. So now, to Finn's knowledge, there are technically two other humans in Ooh alongside himself. This might add a bit more comfort to him and explains why he and Jake stopped fighting him. Seriously anyways. I'll briefly discuss Dad's dungeon. Finn and Jake discover a hollow message from their father Joshua, directing them to a dungeon he built just for them. Through the dungeon, they keep finding more of his recordings in which Joshua tells Finn to cover his ears so he can speak to Jake privately. Joshua instructs Jake to call Finn a whiny baby constantly. This is because Finn cried constantly as a baby and Joshua wants to toughen him up. Jake goes along with it at first, but when he sees how deeply it hurts Finn, he admits the truth, which only makes Finn feel worse and drains his motivation to keep going. When they finally reach the last challenge, however, Jake finds one final message from Joshua. Joshua tells Finn how proud he is of him for making it through the dungeon and says that he loves him. Hearing this breaks Finn out of his funk, giving him the strength to push forward. He frees his blood sword and easily defeats the final monster. This is also accompanied by a kick-ass remix Jake is performing with all the hollow messages.
You. The dungeon for you. This world for you.
By the end, Finn feels a stronger connection to his adoptive father and walks away with a stronger sense of who he is and a new sword to slay evil. Incendium. Honestly, despite Finn getting over his father's words of calling him a whiny baby, ironically enough, that's pretty much all he does in this episode. Why? Well, he's deeply distraught over Bubblegum. Seeing Finn completely finished, Jake sets out to find him another girl, which leads him to the Flame Kingdom. He sees Flame Princess, who's also 13, and thinks that she might be a perfect match for him. Now, some nonsense goes down where Jake stretches out a fake version of Finn to try and court her, and after acting out a scene where fake Finn kills him, Flame King agrees to let Jake take his daughter away because, well, his daughter's pure evil. Upon learning this, Jake, as fake Finn, rejects her, which causes her to go on a frenzy. He runs off back to the treehouse with her not far behind. Jake desperately tries to wake Finn up when the entire house is set on fire. It's only after Bubblegum's picture is burnt that Finn is all,
Who lit that fire? I'll kill you!
He chases after her outside, but rain begins to fall, which completely drains her. When Finn finally sees Flame Princess in her true form, he's instantly infatuated. He catches her as she's about to fall and brings her inside. After she dries up, she angrily snaps at Finn, saying,
You don't like me?
I like you!
Then I realized, the more you bundle, the more you save on insurance with Liberty Booty.
It's like you're talking my love language.
I've been taking word classes online.
No, I'm just kidding.
Ow.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
No. Oh wait, it forces you to watch the ad, right? Yeah, you can't mute it and just put it away for now. It forces you to watch it. Oh, it's cancer. These ads are cancer.
What's wrong with you? Don't ever mess with me again.
Confused, Finn asks who she is, and Jake explains that she's the princess of the Fire Kingdom.
Dude, I think I have a crush.
And with that, the romantic arc of Finn and Flame Princess begins. Season 4 opens up right where Season 3 ended. Finn asks Jake to help track her down, stating that she's not evil, she's just passionate. How could you possibly know that? You haven't even spoken to her. But anyway, Jake begrudgingly helps Finn, and upon finding her, he tells her how he feels, and she's overwhelmed, causing her fire powers to grow even more intense. As a result, Finn gets burned and he tries to put out the fire, which physically hurts her. Now obviously, getting a bunch of these mixed signals is causing her to get even more pissed, and so she tells the pair that she's gonna turn the whole land into her Fire Kingdom. After she leaves, Finn and Jake go back to the treehouse to make fireproof suits to stop her. And hey, would you look at that, Neptune makes an appearance yet again, after 3 long seasons. It's implied here that they were playing a hide and seek game, and Neptune hid so well that for 15 months, they had no idea he was even gone.
Plops, we forgot about the game.
So much for Neptune being like a son to Finn. He makes fireproof suits for them, and after finding Flame Princess terrorizing the Goblin Kingdom, Finn tries to reason with her once more, but things only get worse. Putting out fires continues to hurt Flame Princess, so she goes apeshit again and leaves to cause more mayhem. Finn then tears out of his suit and breaks down, saying,
Why can't I just like a girl?
A tear of his then lands on FP's fire, stinging her, but when she turns back, his tears catch her attention. She thinks Finn is a water elemental because, well,
You cry and cry all the time.
You cry like a baby. Baby!
She tells him that even if they care about each other, they're bound to hurt one another. Finn insists, however, that he can handle it. They try to hug, but he quickly pulls back when the heat becomes too much. She says goodbye before leaving. So although Finn and FP sorta made up, this entire scenario comes with a great cost.
Oh my god, man, everyone's dead! They're all burned! There's barbecue pots everywhere!
What? I'm just kidding. I saved them. Everyone's fine, see?
I missed them a lot today. Overall, this episode really speaks to the loneliness that can come with wanting companionship. Now, IMO, Finn is clearly just infatuated here. He doesn't actually know anything about Flame Princess beyond the fact that he's been told she's evil, and well, look at this. Even so, he tries to reason with her and believes she isn't truly evil. Sure, part of that comes from him being attracted to her, but as we see later, he isn't entirely wrong. She's not inherently evil, only influenced by her father. Finn may be naive, but his feelings are genuine. His line, "Why can't I just like a girl?" is especially relatable. Sometimes we fall for people who simply aren't right for us, and no matter how much we want it to work, it simply doesn't. Going through that once is painful enough, as we saw with PB, but facing the possibility of it happening again can be overwhelming, but it's a part of life. This idea of being vulnerable with someone only to get hurt is echoed throughout Finn's love life in the show, especially in Fiona and Cake in Season 2, just something to keep in mind. After this, it's shown that Finn and FP were kind of seeing each other off screen, and we'll get to that episode. I'll briefly discuss In Your Footsteps next. Finn and Jake come across a bear who starts waddling himself after Finn. Jake is extremely creeped out by the bear, but Finn doesn't mind him at all, stating that he's a wild bear who doesn't know any better. Eventually though, Jake convinces him that the bear might be trying to replace him, especially after it somehow manages to throw a party for Princess Bubblegum and the Candy Kingdom.
Now he's feeding nuts to your ex-girlfriend.
Hey, that's what she said.
So Finn confronts the bear, putting his mimicry to a stop, and it runs off crying. Later, after discovering that none of the candy citizens ever mistook the bear for Finn, thinking that it was just a prank by him, Finn and Jake catch up to it. The bear cries, "I want a hero like you." Moved by this, Finn gives him the Enchiridion, explaining that he and Jake don't even use it. The bear hugs him and says, "Thank you, Finn. Thank you." Now, while this showcases Finn's selflessness, especially for wild animals, him giving the bear the Enchiridion proves to be one of the most wild decisions in the whole show, because the final scene shows the bear climbing up onto this mountain, only to show it to that snail.
Yes. One step closer.
The Lich's return is near. But before we get to that, we have the episode Burning Low. Like I stated before, it's revealed here that Finn and FP are dating, or at least in the beginning stages of a relationship. Things seem to be going well, and Finn couldn't be happier. That is, until...
Finn!
See, upon learning that Finn is dating Flame Princess, PB pays them a visit to try and explain why he shouldn't see her. Now, the show tries to parody soap operas, trying to make it seem like PB is jealous. So that night, Finn struggles to write FP a poem and eventually gets inspiration when the sun comes up. When he heads outside, PB jump scares him.
Finn!
Earlier during her visit, PB had tried to explain why dating Flame Princess was a bad idea, but Finn had snuck out while Jake completely zoned out. PB assumes Jake passed the message along, but since he didn't, the way she approaches him only ends up making Finn lash out.
Bubblegum, I can't do this anymore!
What?
Now you like me?
He yells that he's done so hard to try and move on, but upon hearing PB's words, it's like he's repeating a past he's fighting so desperately to forget. In the end, we learn that PB's reason for warning Finn about dating Flame Princess is that she's extremely unstable, as a literal and incredibly powerful being of fire, intense romantic emotions, especially something like a kiss, could cause her to burn through the Earth's crust. PB and Jake try to stop them, but the kiss happens anyway. With little concern for his own safety, Finn wraps himself in Jake's stretchy arms to reach her, giving Flame Princess enough air to stabilize her, at least for the moment. I really like the ending where, realizing they can't safely kiss each other, they choose to kiss the same rock instead, a cute conclusion to a chaotic episode. I do feel for Finn here. PB's actions here were noble and not built upon some hidden love for him, but that small rant that he gives her about moving on is deeply relatable to anyone who's been in such a position, and unfortunately, it's something that will continue to haunt Finn as his romantic life develops. Let's now get to Kingworm. This entire episode takes place in a dream, so I'm just gonna go through the more important parts. For one, it's worth noting that throughout most of the episode, Finn's hat ears are longer than usual. This is the first and most consistent clue that he's still dreaming, similar to how in Inception, the spinning totem signals that the dream hasn't ended yet.
Oh my lord. Oh yeah, there's a April Fool's event happening.
That's why I'm pretty sure no one was convinced Finn ended up destroying the worm like 3/4 of the way through the episode. Finn dreams about PB and Flame Princess, but miraculously, Jake happens to be dreaming at the same time as him. Finn dreams of Lady Rainicorn having 2 mouths, and despite her sounding creepy as fark, she can speak English instead of Korean. I think this represents how Finn really wants to be able to communicate with LR, especially after the events of My Two Favorite People. Finn here then accidentally imagines one of his fears, which causes the dreamscape to collapse. Jake warns him,
"Careful!
New Game Plus has no business making Grace's dish towel smell this
shut
good.
the fuck up, you stupid fucking
Especially after that. Our greatest scent ever. New Game
Daily
Plus
run.
with Oxy.
Okay, before I do the admin panel.
If you grunk up the dreamscape with your subconscious fears, the whole thing will blow apart.
Cute foreshadowing here. The pair then comes across Ice King, who's running away from an army of Gunthers, which 100% foreshadows the episode Reign of Gunthers. Then they come across Joshua, because naturally dead parents would appear in a dream prison. I have no idea why it starts raining LSPs though, maybe just representing Finn's uncomfortable moments with her up until this point. Oh, and there's a huge one incoming in season 6. After supposedly destroying the worm, they wake up, but Finn notices the mirror spazzing out. Oh, and would you look at that? His reflection is that of Farm World Finn, which foreshadows the ending of this season. Need I say more about how goated this show is? Oh, and remember before when I told you to take note of that imagined scenario Finn has? Well, what's the one thing in common both of these projections have? That's right, the robotic arm. Other weird shit starts happening, only for Jake to remain in denial about it being a dream. So he just fucking dies. The worm shows up, telling him that he's gonna suck out all of Finn's life energy while he's trapped in this dream.
My life energy? I use that!
That's when we get a very important scene. Finn stops his charging and says that he feels something is missing, only for him to curl up into a ball, uttering that he might be stuck here forever. Just like before, this causes the dreamscape to crack. A picture of Jake then reminds him,
If you grunk up the dreamscape with your subconscious fears, the whole thing will blow apart.
After watching Fiona and Cake, this scene takes on a whole new meaning. Sure, Finn being trapped in this dream is of course a big fear of his, who wouldn't be terrified of that, but you know what's an even bigger one? Being alone without Jake. That's why he says something is missing. Up until this point in the episode, he had Jake with him, but now that he doesn't, he instantly feels isolated. It's only after hearing Jake's voice telling him what to do that he snaps out of it, and he's able to make all hell break loose. All of Finn's fears begin to manifest again from his belly button. This includes the ocean, the Lich, and even PB again, only for her to remind him,
You wouldn't understand. You're too young.
As he screams, a chair manifests, and just take a look at this shot. Finn clutches onto the chair, which now looks like a baby seat, and Finn looks like a baby. But behind him is that same ghost he saw back in the Creeps, peering over him like a ghost with unfinished business. That is until the chair falls. The worm at this point now looks frail and damaged. The final nail in the coffin? A clown pops up. This is a callback to the episode another way. Finally, the dream shatters, and Finn and Jake are freed from the trance. This episode is important not only for solidifying many of Finn's fears and foreshadowing future events in the show, but also for subverting the usual conquer your fears to defeat the villain trope. Here, Finn doesn't overcome his fears, he embraces them to defeat the worm. That said, by the end of the series, he eventually manages to face and work through each and every one of them.
Kinda.
Season 4's finale, the episode that only adds to Finn's trauma. It starts in Billy's cave. Finn's cracking up at a TV screen, which shows the cosmic owl, meaning that this is a prophetic dream. Billy's here with that old lady from season 1, as well as the bear from In Your Footsteps, who says, "Dark tides are coming." And then we see that same snail approaching the Enchiridion. The old lady then says,
"You talk like Justice, Billy. I can't kick a plane."
This line is meant to reflect how Billy was once the GOAT, the greatest hero in all of Ooh, but now that he's old and much weaker, he can't back that up anymore. And this is further reflected in what happens next. The snail flips through the Enchiridion, and Billy gives a look of suspicion, but he realizes too late. The snail morphs into the Lich and charges at Billy, before Finn wakes up in a dazed panic. He tells Jake about the snail, the cosmic owl, and how Billy looked afraid, more afraid than he had ever been before. If only Finn could just rewind the episode and pause at this blink and you'll miss it moment. Truly terrifying. Jake tells him that they should go tell Billy about the dream, and upon doing that, the retired hero is completely stunned. He then picks up Finn and asks him to accompany him in stopping the Lich once and for all. Finn, being a huge fanboy, pauses briefly, too excited to even say anything, but
yes.
And so the entire episode is Billy instructing them to steal all the crown jewels from all the princesses in the land, plus Ice King. For the first time, Finn can finally experience having an adventure with his idol, something he's probably been dreaming about for years. After taking a short break, Finn goes into Billy's bag to get some snacks when he finds the Enchiridion.
How'd you get this?
I found it in the mouth of a bear.
It's that line that destroys any suspicion, if there was any to begin with, of Billy, because the last time Finn saw it, he did give it to a bear. Here, we finally understand the true purpose of the Enchiridion. After inserting the crown jewels of the land into it, it's actually able to open a gate room to the multiverse, or more specifically, Prismo's time room. Billy tells Finn that he's gonna push the Lich in here. It's unfortunate how blindsided the pair are by this line. If anyone else had told them that they were planning on pushing the Lich to a place that could access the multiverse, this would easily raise some suspicions. But because Finn looks up to Billy so much, and after having gone adventuring with him, he doesn't think twice. This showcases just how brutal and manipulative the Lich is. After the scene, they get to Peebee, who has the final gem. Finn bursts into her room and tries to take the jewel, but during the tussle, she accidentally cuts his cheek with her scissors. He stares at her coldly before taking it and running to Billy. Peebee chases after them and realizes what's going on.
That's not Billy! It's the Lich!
The Gumball Guardians get up and blast Billy's face, revealing the Lich underneath Billy's skin. He forces Finn into that cold, dark trance like before, and begins to crawl toward him. Just imagine how traumatic this would be for Finn. Not only is he betrayed, but the dream that he had implies that the Lich killed Billy and then chose to wear his skin. Finn's hero, reduced to something mutilated and desecrated. The Lich tries to tempt Finn, telling him that with the book, he can have anything he wants. But like it's shown before, Finn isn't fooled. He shouts,
"No more tricks! You'll never get this book!"
and starts smashing the book. And in that moment, a portal opens up and the Lich steps through. Jake grabs hold, with Finn trying to pull him back, but both of them are eventually dragged inside. The next scene cuts to Finn on a farm, calmly playing the flute with his dog Jake beside him. Then his mother calls him inside for something urgent, and the episode ends. As I've mentioned in other videos, this was one of the biggest plot twists I had ever experienced at that age. And like I mentioned before, this version of Finn was foreshadowed back in King Worm. Now here's the thing, I'm not going to discuss Farm World Finn's episode here since he deserves a video of his own. Let me know if you guys want that down below. So I'll just briefly summarize how everything gets resolved. In the season 5 premiere, upon entering that portal, Finn and Jake follow the Lich, who makes a wish to Prismo to wish for the extinction of all life. To undo this wish, Finn makes a wish that the Lich never existed, resulting in him being transported to this world. By the end, Jake undoes everything by changing the Lich's original wish.
For Finn and Jake to go back home to Eve.
What did he say?
And so, for the time being, it really seems like nothing from the last episode ever occurred, or did it. Now we have the episode All the Little People. Alright, this video is already going to be so long, and like I said, I'm really not going to summarize and analyze an episode that I have a full comprehensive video on, so just go check that out and then come back. I will say this though, the amount of comments I got in that video that say, "Oh my god, you're overreacting, this is just a funny episode that references many people who played Sims." Alright, for one, I never played Sims growing up, but it's a video game. A game filled with a bunch of cartoonish models. Well, the so-called toys that Finn finds and manipulates in the creepiest ways imaginable are quite literally people he knows in his real life. People who are comparing this episode to someone playing The Sims are completely downplaying Finn's actions. Let me ask you this, if you knew someone IRL who found a sack filled with moving toys of the people they know and you know, and starts mixing and matching them to form different relationships, all to presumably get a hard-on, what? Are you guys just gonna be like, nah, it's fine, he's just playing The Sims?
Hunters, our new Huntrix meal is now at McDonald's.
With Ramyun McShaker fries, 10-piece chicken McNuggets, and a drink. Oh, plus 2 new sauces.
And sick photo cards.
And it's totally better than Saturday's breakfast, so pick
Oh
out
my
a
gosh,
little.
this is K-pop Jevil Hunters.
And now I know I'm gonna get weird comments that are all like, chill bro, it's just a cartoon. And yes, it is a cartoon, but in the context of the narrative of the cartoon, it's Finn's real life. Ergo, it's an incredibly uncomfortable thing to witness. I mean, look at Jake's reaction to seeing Finn hook up his little self with Lady Rainicorn. Okay, with all that being said, I also recognize that this is the episode that highlights Finn going through puberty. As much as I make jokes about how uncomfortable this episode is, it's essential in Finn's development, because for the first time, we actually see a deep flaw in his character.
Finn, say something to reassure me.
Your mom.
Having him succumb to his inner desires for several weeks will come to bite him in the ass later this season. Again, if you want a deeper dive on the themes and what actually goes on, go watch my video. I'll briefly touch on Davy, as it showcases how Finn sometimes feels exhausted being a hero. This is not because he's tired fighting bad guys, but because of the publicity he gets.
Have dinner with me!
No, man. You get out of here.
So he decides to shave his hair and get a mustache. Enter his alter ego, Davy Johnson. Using the mini computer he mentions he swallowed back in season 1, he changes his voice too.
Hello.
Alright, screw
I'm
going
Davy.
Oh, thought it was Finn on account he's wearing Finn's exact clothes.
In this episode, we see a different side to Finn. He actually enjoys being treated like a Joe Schmo, for example.
Hi, I'm Davy.
So what?
I did
You wanna
it!
have dinner with me?
I did it!
Oh yeah, there's one thing I haven't touched on about Finn. For some weird f***ing reason, all of the princesses in Ooh, save for Bubblegum, are in love with him. And it's shown that he feels super uncomfortable about it every single time. Oh yeah, this also includes the nonce herself, Tree Trunks. Guys, she sucks and you'll never convince me otherwise. So when he gets rejected, he actually feels kind of good. But also, come on Finn, what if this girl had said yes? You're in a relationship with Flame Princess, man. Eventually though, he gets too into his character and forgets that he's even Finn. Jake tries to bring him back out by acting like a robber, but Davy calls the cops. After Jake's arrested, this causes Finn to have a deep but ultimately hilarious epiphany. Davy tells Finn about how good that one day of being a normal guy was, thinking back to how good it felt to just sit at the park or rooming the shop without being bothered by anyone. But Finn, just like Peter Parker, realizes that he knows what needs to be done for the greater good. Responsibility demands sacrifice, so he becomes Davy one last time to break Jake out.
Glad to have you back, buddy.
Word. I really enjoyed seeing a different side to Finn's character in this episode. Again, it further humanizes him and doesn't make him feel like the static kid he was. The show is doing a good job of making him extremely relatable. On top of that, I do believe that his identity crisis is 100% a stepping stone to his major ongoing arc involving his backstory and the feeling he has of never being able to fit in. And now we have Pahoy. Just like All the Little People, I have a full breakdown of this episode. In fact, it was my first Adventure Time video ever. I highly recommend you go check that out since it's an extremely thought-provoking episode. I will say that the main plot is triggered because Finn overthinks the fact that Flame Princess didn't laugh at a joke he told her earlier. By the end though, after having a wild dream, he gets a call from Flame Princess telling him that she just didn't get the joke until now. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress, my friend. The sad part is, it's unfortunate that he completely forgets his life in the pillow world, where he met a girl, had kids, and lived until he was an old man trying to find a way back home. Since Finn supposedly dreamed this, it means that deep down, Finn really wants this happy, simple life for himself. But just like before, responsibility demands sacrifice. It definitely wasn't just a dream though. Also, it's pretty fucking insane that when he dies in the pillow world, he manages to bounce off Golb's tongue like it was nothing, even making the Chaos God look back with mild confusion. This, to me, means that Finn is the true embodiment of all that is good, able to escape the maw of the most evil and possibly most powerful entity in the entire Adventure Time universe. I think this just foreshadows Finn's insane, limitless potential, and the episode Jake suit supports this. See, Finn sometimes uses Jake as a suit, kinda like Venom. The only issue is that Jake can feel everything.
They have time to flip off the tree! fine.
So Finn tells him to stop being a coward.
You just have to imagine that every bruise is a hickey from the universe.
And the two have a competition. Jake wears Finn as a suit and tries to cause him pain until he finally gives up. He does stuff like making Finn's favorite food, but eating it himself, then trying to bore him to death, then embarrassing him in front of Flame Princess and her family by making him do the baby Finn dance. But you see, none of it works.
Jake?
Oops, busted.
Are you controlling Finn?
Yeah, I'm causing Finn pain. We have a bet going on.
Good luck, Finn. Hope you win.
I will.
So Jake finally goes overboard. He decides to fly into a volcano, and even after dipping Finn's head in, Finn doesn't give up. By the end, Jake just accepts that his brother... And even after dipping Finn's head in, Finn doesn't give up. By the end, Jake just accepts that his brother is just way more tolerant and hardcore than he is.
You're right, man. My bruises are hickeys from the universe.
This episode not only shows how much pain Finn is capable of enduring, but also reveals the kind of faith he places in the universe. The belief that every hardship is either a challenge to overcome or something that might lead to something better. Unfortunately, as we'll see in the episodes that follow, that mindset begins to change dramatically. Now, I feel I haven't touched on Finn and FP's relationship all that much because, well, this video would be far too long, but they've had very wholesome episodes together. For example, in Vault of Bones, a big thing FP struggles with is how her father secretly whispers to her that she's evil when she's not paying attention. To alleviate her doubt, Finn takes her to a dungeon to prove she is evil.
Gosh.
The funny thing is, the way Finn goes to the dungeon is the way I play God of War, or any other RPG. I just love doing side quests first and taking my time. He also doesn't kill monsters right away, but intimidates them for loot first. FP quickly gets bored because they're doing everything Finn's way. He quickly reflects and says that for the rest of the dungeon, they'll do things her way. This includes just going apeshit with fire. In the end, when Finn is kidnapped, Flame Princess chooses not to burn the monster. Instead, she intimidates him the same way Finn did earlier.
I thought you were going to burn me alive.
No way. I'd never do that to my boyfriend.
This is actually the first time FP calls Finn her boyfriend, but that now brings us to one of the most important episodes in Finn's romantic journey. Again, sorry for these plugs, but full episode breakdown is right here. Remember how I said all the little people showcases Finn's manipulative side? Well, it all comes to a head when he manipulates FP and Ice King to fight constantly, all because the first time this happened, he got a wet dream from it. Things eventually escalate to the point where the entire Ice Kingdom melts down, causing Finn to have one last dream with the Cosmic Owl. Realizing what he's done, he tries to save Ice King and tells FP the truth about what happened. This, of course, makes Flame Princess see him in a completely different way. The way he manipulated her constantly, and by writing that personal letter to Ice King, Finn completely broke her trust, and so she dumps him on the spot.
I was expecting stuff to spawn.
I said I was sorry.
This is the beginning of Finn's slow descent into emotional despair. To try and rebound, Finn, in Too Old, accompanies PB on a diplomatic dinner at the Lemongrab Castle, in hopes that he could maybe potentially get her again. He even tries to recreate the way he and 13-year-old PB relentlessly pranked Lemongrab to try and force him out back in Too Young.
Watch this.
Pretty smart, dude. Hey.
Come on, Finn, don't do that. The worst part is that he told Jake that PB hates him and didn't want him to come to this dinner. In truth,
it's just a shame that Jake didn't want to come. I love Jake.
Gosh darn it.
Finn's moving like a total Mordecai in this episode.
Finn, give me your phone. I'm calling Jake.
What? No. Let's, we could do another prank. I brought some of your super spicy hot sauce. Ah, so spice. So spice.
You're so spice.
PB then gives him a bit of a reality check, stating that she has citizens to take care of and can't treat everything like a game all the time. That's what gives him the realization.
I'm thinking maybe age isn't just a number. Maybe older people, like, really are different.
Finn here learns the concept of maturity, so he tells Jake that he really needs to patch things up with Flame Princess. Also, you can clearly see that this episode is supposed to be the inverse of Too Young, especially with how the episode titles are complete opposites of each other. In Earth and Water, FP overthrows her father with the help of Cinnamon Bun, only for Finn to apologize to her for what he did. She tells him that it's okay and that it's in the past.
So, does that mean we're still going out?
But she says something that mirrors what PB said to Finn in the previous episode. Her duty is to the kingdom now. Finn curls up into a ball in sadness, but she says that there's no more bad blood between them and he can come to the Fire Kingdom whenever he wants, as long as he promises to always be honest with her. Of course, he does so without hesitation. I relate to this sequence a lot. See, I'm someone who grew up having a lot of older friends, and quite often, I always felt lacking or behind because, well, I was just starting uni and these guys were all working. So when Finn hears PB state that she has much more important responsibilities and FP stating the same thing, it makes Finn feel like he's lesser or just falling behind. I've learned throughout the years that maturity is not a set course, ladies and gentlemen. Just because someone matures faster than you doesn't mean you're falling behind, and vice versa. As much as it sucks to go through a breakup, this is something Finn needs. He needs to learn what he did was wrong, and quite frankly, he needs to start focusing on himself. Speaking of focusing on himself, we arrive at the Vault, the episode that finally reveals who that scary ghost lady is. Sorry if I sound like a broken record, but full video done on this too, go check it out here for a full deep dive. In this episode, we learn that Finn often consciously represses memories too traumatic for him.
You're hiding whatever she is in a mental vault.
Oh yeah, the vault. That's where the stuff I can't handle goes. Kerplunk.
In this episode, he opens it up and it's revealed that he's had a bunch of past lives. He was once a comet, a butterfly, a pink shit, and he was, in fact, the scary lady. Well, this is before she was scary. This is Shoko. Shoko had shitty parents. So shitty, in fact, that they sold her arm when she... This is before she was scary. This is Shoko. Shoko had shitty parents. So shitty, in fact, that they sold her arm when she was younger. As a result, she does immoral jobs for money. She eventually meets PB in the past. Yep, PB is not 19 in Adventure Time, but in truth like 1,000 years old. Shoko helps PB create the Gumball Guardians, and they get quite close. To thank her for her help, Princess Bubblegum makes her a robotic arm. That's another one to the list. Unfortunately, Shoko here was tasked with stealing an amulet from PB by this gang, and if she doesn't do it, they're gonna kill her. That night, Shoko manages to snag the amulet, but falls into this toxic sludge and is presumed dead. Moments later, however, she emerges looking more like that infamous ghost form. She looks at her new arm with happiness before dying in the same spot where Finn and Jake's treehouse would grow. In the present, Finn, after finally conquering his fear, calls PB to atone for the past. She arrives and Finn stomps on the bottom of the treehouse to see Shoko. He grabs her amulet and hands it to PB, with her instantly recognizing the skeleton. I love that Finn calls out PB's age.
Weirdo.
And now Shoko is no longer a ghost, but back to her original self.
Wait,
My vault feels lighter.
Finn takes a major a ghost, but
oh my
back to
gosh,
her original self.
My vault feels lighter.
Finn takes a major step forward here. Facing the past isn't easy, especially when it's tied to deep trauma, and trying to make amends makes it even harder. Falling into toxic sludge and emerging as a mutated version of himself, even for just a few moments, would be terrifying for anyone. I also see this episode as the point where Finn eventually lets go of his romantic feelings for PB for good. That doesn't mean they grow distant. If anything, he comes to feel closer to her. After all, she once cared for him as Shoko, and even made an arm for him in the past. This episode is a meaningful shift in their relationship and a strong moment of growth for Finn. Yet, despite this, Finn finds himself in quite a depressed mindset in the episode Dungeon Train. See, after having gone through a breakup, he says that his inside voice is really quiet, meaning that he feels as though life is kind of distracting him. That is, until he finds the Dungeon Train. This episode represents whether it be us trying to watch a movie, going to the gym, or playing some video games, most of the time we do this to escape our harsh reality. Finn fights through the Dungeon Train for hours upon hours, because, well, it keeps him from thinking about all the shit he's gone through. This does cause some tension between him and Jake, especially after he finds a crystal ball that shows Finn still fighting on the train as an old man. Oh, and add this one to the list too. After fighting, Finn comes to his senses when he sees a frail old Jake in the crystal ball, walking beside old Finn. This makes him realize that he went too far, and although he stays a bit longer, he shows Jake that the crystal ball has changed, showing the two of them doing dishes. Oh, and massive foreshadowing for the Hall of Egress right there. After the blood sword Finn got from Joshua's dungeon is absorbed by the demon Keoth, the two go sword shopping, and Finn gets the grass sword, probably his most important and powerful weapon. Not only is this thing extremely precise, it also begins to physically cling to Finn like it's a symbiote. After realizing it's a curse, Finn and Jake track down the guy who sold it to them, and despite kicking his ass, he says there really is no way to remove it. Finn, hearing this in a surprising turn of events, despite kicking his ass, he says there really is no way to remove it. Finn, hearing this in a surprising turn of events, doesn't go apeshit like he's done in the past. He doesn't even go to PB for help or something. He just accepts it with a smile. And just like that, Finn can now control the grass sword, summoning it whenever he feels like. To me, this feeling of acceptance is a lot deeper. It truly feels like the first time he willingly accepts a bad outcome instead of trying to fix it. An important lesson that he will have to learn time and time again, especially for the chaos that is gonna ensue soon. I'll ever so briefly touch on the Red Throne. Flame Princess and Cinnamon Bun come to Finn for help when Flame King tries to stage a coup against her. Finn is still not over her, trying to impress her with the grass sword, and at the end, he's shown up by Cinnamon Bun of all people, an all-time low for the guy. Now comes the season finale, Billy's bucket list. After Finn is reminded of Billy, coincidentally, or is it a coincidence, his ex-girlfriend Canyon approaches him to complete his bucket list. There's just one last thing. Is it a coincidence? His ex-girlfriend Canyon approaches him to complete his bucket list. There's just one last thing. Well, two last things.
Health in that thing. What the butt is that?
I don't know.
Okay, that's gonna bother me forever.
After completing that one thing, he manages to find another thing, to lie back on the ocean and float. This sucks for Finn, since we've established...
Why the ocean, Billy?
Fear Feaster returns briefly to taunt Finn, but our boy does the exact same thing he did in season 1, knocks himself out. That's when he has a dream where the ocean tries to swallow him, but he shouts, "For Billy!" staring at his fear with open eyes. He wakes up panicking while the Fear Feaster laughs chaotically, only for the grass sword to control Finn's arm and slap him in the face, basically telling him to stop being such a coward. The sword manifests and...
No mortal blade can harm what?
This thing is so overpowered, it's insane.
Was that you? Or me?
Yeah,
I think it was
multi-tool
both
is
of you.
awesome.
This is symbolically Finn finally conquering his fear of the ocean. One could say that this is a cop-out since he got a magic blade to do it, but the previous episode stated that he's now in control of it, even if it may not seem like it. I think it was Finn subconsciously slapping himself in the face and manifesting the sword. And so finally, Finn completes Billy's bucket list. The clouds part as he looks at the sky and says to himself,
collecting coins? It don't matter.
but that's when the legendary hero of Ooh appears to him in the form of these constellations. Billy thanks Finn for completing it, and that's when the boy asks him what that thing was that he wanted to tell him. Billy pretty casually just tells him,
You must go to the Citadel. That's where your father is.
Joshua's not alive. Me and Jake buried him behind the...
Alright, let me just pause for a second. What was Finn gonna say? Could it be that Finn and Jake buried their father Joshua behind the treehouse? Well, I'm theorizing about this years in advance of this episode's release, and there have been countless episodes since that haven't elaborated on this. Also, given that no tombstone can be seen anywhere near the treehouse, this might be a dead theory. Interesting to mention though. Let me know what you guys think down below of this. Anyways, Billy tells him,
Not Joshua. Your other dad. Dad the human. Your father, Finn. He's alive. He's alive. He's alive.
Holy crap.
That stinger always gives me goosebumps, an insane plot twist that had me yearning for season 6. To have that revelation after years of believing he was the only human left, let alone a direct relative, it's gonna be extremely heavy to process. We see this in the season 6 premiere. After Finn tells Jake what Billy told him, the two start talking about how his father might have been some great hero and hid Finn to protect him. Keep your expectations low, kids, or if you don't, you will be severely disappointed. After arriving at the cosmic prison known as the Citadel, Finn's father, Martin Mertens, is set free inadvertently by the Lich. Turns out this guy sucks.
Finn's your son.
What? No Star Skipper.
Martin here is focused on one thing, to get out of this place. He doesn't even care about Finn. All he does is constantly move forward. Finn tries to deeply connect with his father, asking him some questions about his past, but Martin continues to ignore him. If you guys want my honest interpretation and analysis of Martin's character, go check out this video as this will tie into Finn's development. By the end, after the Lich is defeated and turned into Sweet Pea, Martin tries to leave with these intergalactic monsters, but Finn holds on desperately. With his body being stretched thin, the grass sword mutates to try to hold on tighter. Jake tries to help, but tells him that Martin is just not worth it, and I agree, he isn't. But this is more than just his fault. Finn holding onto this tightly is a symbol of him holding on to the past he's been trying so hard to get answers to. As you guys have seen, this has been shown time and time again, whether it's him trying to connect with Susan or him finding out that he's had a bunch of past lives. Finn cares deeply about where he came from, but unfortunately, that desire leads to probably the most traumatic thing he will ever go through. The weight of holding on blows his t-shirt and hat straight off, until finally, holding on becomes far too much for him. Finn sinks aimlessly with a blank expression. His mind is completely empty. A splash of healing liquid lands on the stub of his broken arm and grows into a flower, symbolizing Finn's connection to nature, but also of the transition from physical strength to emotional strength he'll develop in the coming episodes. And so, the prophecy of him losing his right arm, a moment that has been hinted at throughout, had finally come to pass. In the tower, Finn tries to use a candy arm PB made for him, but it quickly backfires. Not only because it's huge, but because Finn's still extremely pissed about how things went down with Martin.
Thanks a lot, Dad!
After it explodes, Jake comes to comfort him and tells him that after going through something as traumatic as he did, he shouldn't expect things to just go back to normal. He needs to go at his own pace. Jake also tells him to listen to his heart, and Finn responds,
My melon wants to punch my dad in the face and steal his arm.
Despite Jake telling him that those aren't his real thoughts, Finn manages to manifest this ethereal arm after he envisions going to space to find his dad. This arm is overpowered as shit too, because it has telekinesis and shapeshifting. After learning what he can do, he builds a massive tower into space to find Martin. What I love is Jake and PB's head-to-head on the whole situation. See, PB is worried because that arm is extremely powerful and it could lead to someone getting hurt, but Jake is all,
Good night, buddy! I'm proud of you!
While I appreciate Jake trying to support Finn, there are definitely healthier ways to cope with that kind of loss. Finn ends up taking blocks from all over the land of Ooh, even accidentally scooping up a deer along the way. Yet, he keeps building non-stop until he eventually passes out from lack of oxygen. That's when he wakes up inside a spaceship. We can see an empty bed next to him, and judging by the mess, we know who else is here. Finn calls out hello before stumbling upon his father watching TV. He snickers a bit and sneaks up on him.
Hey, Dad.
Huh? Oh, good. You're awake.
Finn then tries to yank his arm off, but he hears Martin weakly.
Good. You're awake.
Finn then tries to yank his arm off, but he hears Martin weakly utter,
My favorite arm. Oh no.
That is what causes Finn to stop and reflect briefly before.
Didn't help much, did it? Bong bong.
Fleas and ticks?
Dude, she's
Prevent
bullying
it
him.
quick with flea and tick meds from Chewy Pharmacy.
OMG, y'all. Travelers swear by this one trick. What's up with sorry, buddy.
PB explains that she brought him to the Candy Kingdom after he passed out. I love that she knew exactly what would get Finn out of that dark mindset. And the best part, that arm that manifested from all of his grief disappeared too. Finn listens to his heart once more, and he no longer wants to steal Marin's arm. Now let me bring attention to this shot. In a previous video, I stated that Finn having 2 arms here was an error, but my analytical brain couldn't realize that this symbolizes Finn feeling a bit more whole now. It's a fantastic detail, but unfortunately, PB's help is not enough to get Finn out of his rut. This brings us to Breezy. Finn's flower arm looks a bit dry, which Dr. Princess attributes to,
I guess I don't feel anything.
Now Finn in this episode tries to have some fun, which means making out with a bunch of princesses. Of course, it doesn't work. He kind of mopes around singing,
I'm lost in the darkness, what will this bring?
This bee called Breezy that falls in love with his flower, and the two hang out while Finn tries to feel something. Feel anything. Oh, and I have to bring up this scene.
Whoa, you're a dead ringer for Flame Princess, with a smidge of Princess Bubblegum mixed in. Guess you're still hung up on both of them, bro.
I ain't hung up on nobody. Nobody.
Yeah, I think he's hung up on them. Or at least Flame Princess. Now, a weird thing happens where Breezy starts falling for Finn and not just his flower. And after she becomes a queen bee, he rejects her.
You know, I'm trying to keep it casual, Bee. I just don't feel the same way. I don't feel anything.
And now we get to possibly the most controversial scene in Adventure Time. Finn kisses LSP, but she's all like,
Where are you going?
I didn't need to see that. Wait, I have an idea. Let's go back. Go back.
Dimension and how they behave differently. Now we have to get into entities because there's going to be so many. I hired Goober a few weeks ago, the most talented entity mod maker I've ever encountered, to just make entities. I just let him off of his leash. This was the call where he showed me what he was working on.
Ooh. So this guy, it might take a bit for him to actually start doing stuff. Also, do you like the stamina bar I made?
Dude, it's aesthetic. With the shader, it fits perfectly. Like, I think down... Oh. Oh. What?
What just... Oh, you're in that... Oh, you're cooked.
My God.
Say goodbye to Goober. Say goodbye to Goober.
No way. No way. Dude.
And the game crashes.
No. You did not. Clearly, Goober's entities were absolutely insane, but there was one that stood out. The Stalker. This villager that unleashes itself whenever you get close to it. I think it's the perfect entity to build the AI imposter system off of. In Lethal Company, basically, when you die to certain mobs, your body is replaced by this clone that tricks your friends into thinking you're friendly to get close to them. I think we need to build this in-game with the Stalker. I've started with just a normal player entity and then giving it all the animations that would make it look real. And then I'm gonna split everything in half so that the mob can open up just like the Stalker. Okay, and this is the animation. I mean, that's pretty sweet. That's pretty
liminal.
Now, for the very hard part, which is creating another entity that's going to be slightly smaller, that's going to sit inside. And that's going to be the mouth. That's what this is. So that we can keep the player model by itself, so that we can import a standard player skin to it, and we won't have to do any editing. Okay, I kind of like this. We're going to give it a little mouth at the top, and then add in a couple bones. Now we just got to get it to have the same pitch and yaw, so that it looks like it is the actual guts inside of the player. And this is what we have, guys. Oh my God, it's so good, dude. That's a graham cracker sound effect, by the way. That's not real bones breaking. That is me eating a graham cracker. With the entities done, I worked on a few odds and ends to wrap up in order to get the mod functioning. We're gonna need to build an actual shaft house where the entrance to the mine can spawn. We'll make it spawn really rare, like a mansion. Okay, so this is what I've got. We've got this path, which is just for the fellas when they join the play. But then up here, this is the main house. This is what the spawnable structure is gonna be, and it looks insane with the shaders. I like this. This turned out pretty good. And then on the inside, you have the elevator. And I added all these structural support blocks that add to like the shaft, and it goes down all the way. It's pretty cool. And if you notice, I am holding a flashlight. I've had Chicken Nugget AC as well as Go Shiggy working on some more game mechanics that are crucial that I didn't really want to do. The flashlight, which runs on batteries. We have a system of gates that you can close, but only for a few seconds to prevent mobs from chasing you for too long. They're kind of like a shelter point. And then we have the upgrade.
Oh, I see the shelter point.
After you go through chasing you for too of gates that you can close, but only for a few seconds to prevent mobs from chasing you for too long. They're kind of like a shelter point. And then we have the upgrades. After you go through a level, you're given your cut, which is 5% of the cash that you loot from the level. You then take that loot to here, which is the shop. There's a ton of different upgrades that you can purchase. You've got the basic bread, tools, batteries, but then also, do you see that, kids? Weapons. I've tasked Goshigi with making us some weapons. You can get upgraded knives, fire axes, and with the heavy weapons villager, you can get flintlock pistols, the grease gun, and if you upgrade the villager enough, you can get a Tommy gun. And this model, this looks so sick, by the way. You can get better pickaxes too, as well as custom armor models. Chicken Nugget AC made these, shout out. You start off with the Goon armor. I did not ask for that name. Hardened armor, and then the veteran armor. This model, I mean, this is Valentino right here. This is crisp. I then whipped up a ton of levels with the level 2 and 3 blocks, and then built a cart elevator, which is where you have to submit your cart in order to move on to the next level. And then friend of the show, El Borto, has whipped up a ton of maps for us to use for the first levels, and I added in the ore spawn